Picture this. The world's economy is on the brink of collapse. Banks are failing left and right. People are losing their homes, their jobs, their life savings. It's chaos out there. But in the middle of all this mayhem, one man steps up. He's not wearing a cape, but he might as well be. When everyone else was running for the hills, Dimon and his team at JPMorgan Chase stood their ground. They didn't just weather the storm, they helped calm it. It's a tale of guts, smarts, and a whole lot of money. This is the story of Jamie Dimon and his role in the world of high finance, where the stakes are high, the players are tough, and the consequences affect us all. Now, let's talk about our main man, Jamie Dimon. If the financial world were a movie, he'd be the lead actor. Dimon isn't just some suit in a corner office. He's the big cheese, the CEO of JPMorgan Chase. We're talking about the largest bank in America here. That's like being the captain of a massive ship, except this ship is made of money and it's sailing through some pretty choppy waters. But here's the thing. A Dimon didn't just wake up one day and find himself in charge of this financial powerhouse. Nope. He worked his way up step by step, deal by deal. It's like he was training for the financial Olympics his whole life, and now he's going for gold. And boy, does he need those skills. Because being the boss of JPMorgan Chase isn't just about making money, although they do plenty of that. It's about keeping the whole financial system from falling apart when things get rough. And let me tell you, things have gotten pretty rough over the years. Now, JPMorgan Chase isn't just any old bank. It's got some serious history. We're talking over a century of being the financial world's firefighter. Whenever the economy starts smoking, they're the ones grabbing the hose. It all started with a guy named J. Pierpont Morgan. Yeah, that Morgan. He was like the original financial superhero, swooping in to save the day during crises. Fast forward to today, and Jamie Dimon is carrying on that tradition. He's like the modern-day version of J.P. Morgan, only with better suits and probably fewer handlebar mustaches. So, how did Dimon end up in this high-pressure, high-stakes role? Well, that's where our story really begins. Let's rewind a bit and look at where Jamie Dimon came from. He wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth, but you could say finance was in his blood. His grandfather was a stockbroker, and his father worked for American Express. Little Jamie grew up hearing about stocks and trades over the dinner table. It's like he was getting financial bedtime stories instead of fairy tales. Dimon was a smart kid, no doubt about it. He breezed through school and ended up at Harvard Business School. Now, that's where things started to get interesting. You see, while he was there, he caught the eye of a guy named Sandy Weil. Weil was a big shot in the banking world, and he saw something special in young Jamie. After graduation, Dimon joined Weil at American Express. It was like the start of a beautiful friendship, or so it seemed. They were a dynamic duo climbing the corporate ladder together. When Weil left to run a smaller firm called Commercial Credit, Dimon followed. Together, they turned that little company into a financial giant called Citigroup. But here's where the plot thickens. Just when everything seemed to be going great, Dimon and Weil had a falling out. It was like a bad breakup, but instead of fighting over who gets to keep the dog, they were arguing over billion-dollar deals. In 1998, Weil showed Dimon the door. Now, for a lot of people, getting fired from such a high-profile job would be the end of the story. But not for Jamie Dimon. Oh no, this was just the beginning of his next chapter. He took some time off, licked his wounds, and then came back swinging. In 2000, Dimon became CEO of Bank One. It wasn't the biggest bank around, but under Dimon's leadership, it started to grow, and grow, and grow some more. He was like a gardener with a magic touch, turning this financial sapling into a mighty oak. Then, in 2004, something big happened. JPMorgan Chase bought Bank One, and guess who they wanted to run the whole shebang? That's right, Jamie Dimon. It was like he had been preparing for this moment his entire career. But Dimon wasn't content with just being in charge of a big bank. He wanted to make it the best bank. He started making changes, tightening things up, getting rid of risky investments. It's like he could see the storm coming before anyone else. And boy, was there a storm brewing. In 2008, the financial world was hit by a hurricane. Banks were failing, the stock market was crashing, and it seemed like the whole economy might go down the drain. But there was Dimon and JPMorgan Chase, standing strong in the middle of it all. While other banks were begging for government bailouts, JPMorgan Chase was actually helping to bail out other companies. They bought Bear Stearns when it was about to collapse. They took over Washington Mutual when it failed. It was like they were the last man standing in a financial boxing match. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Even JPMorgan Chase took some hits during the crisis. They lost billions on bad mortgages and had to pay hefty fines for their role in the mess. But compared to other banks, they came out smelling like roses. And through it all, there was Jamie Dimon steering the ship. He became known as the guy who could handle a crisis. The government turned to him for advice. Other bankers looked to him for leadership. But Dimon's story doesn't end with the 2008 crisis. Oh no, there were plenty more storms to weather. In 2012, JPMorgan Chase lost a whopping $6 billion in what became known as the London Whale trading scandal. It was a big black eye for the bank and for Dimon personally. But here's where Dimon's leadership really shone through. Instead of trying to cover it up or blame others, he took responsibility. He admitted they had screwed up, took a pay cut, and set about fixing the problem. It was like watching a captain patch up his ship while still sailing through a storm. Then came 2014, and another crisis hit. This time, it was a massive cyber attack. Hackers had gotten into JPMorgan Chase's systems and stolen data from millions of customers. It was a wake-up call not just for the bank, but for the whole financial industry. Once again, Dimon stepped up. He poured billions into improving the bank's cybersecurity. It was like he was building a digital fortress around the bank. And he didn't stop there. He started warning other banks, the government, anyone who would listen, about the dangers of cyber attacks. But perhaps Dimon's biggest challenge came in 2020, with the COVID-19 pandemic. The world economy ground to a halt. Businesses were closing, people were losing jobs, and once again, the financial system was under threat. And once again, there was Jamie Dimon and JPMorgan Chase ready to help steady the ship. They worked with the government to get relief funds to small businesses. They offered payment deferrals to customers who were struggling. It was like they were throwing lifelines to anyone who needed them. But it wasn't just about helping others. Dimon also had to keep his own bank afloat. He had to figure out how to keep things running when most of his employees were working from home. He had to navigate a world where traditional banking was suddenly risky. And you know what? He pulled it off. Dimon's leadership, JPMorgan Chase not only survived the pandemic, they thrived. While other banks were struggling, JPMorgan Chase was posting record profits. So, what's the secret to Dimon's success? Well, if you ask him, he'll tell you it's about being prepared. It's about always looking ahead, trying to spot the next crisis before it hits. He's like a financial weather forecaster, always watching for the next storm. But it's more than that. Dimon has a knack for surrounding himself with smart people. He's not afraid to hear bad news or admit when he's wrong. And he's always learning. Whether it's new technology, changes in the economy, or shifts in customer behavior, Dimon is always trying to stay one step ahead. And here's the thing. Dimon's influence goes beyond just JPMorgan Chase. When he talks, the whole financial world listens. His annual letter to shareholders is read like it's the financial Bible. When he speaks at conferences, people hang on his every word. When Jamie Dimon talks, people listen. So, what's next for Jamie Dimon and JPMorgan Chase? Well, if history is any guide, they'll be right in the middle of whatever financial challenge comes next. Whether it's another economic downturn, a new technological disruption, or some crisis we can't even imagine yet, you can bet Dimon will be there, sleeves rolled up, ready to dive in. But the bigger question might be, what happens when Dimon eventually steps down? He's been at the helm of JPMorgan Chase for nearly 2 decades now. That's a long time in the fast-paced world of finance. Will the bank be able to maintain its position without him? Maybe that's the real test of Dimon's leadership. Not just how well he's run the bank, but how well he's prepared it for the future. Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, Jamie Dimon's impact on JPMorgan Chase and on the world of finance as a whole will be felt for years to come. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about other influential figures and financial strategies, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We've got plenty more exciting content in the works, so stay tuned.